From the time we are children, we are force-fed a single absolute rule: winners never quit, and quitters never win. We are taught that giving up is the ultimate failure, that pushing through the pain, no matter how miserable we are, is the only way to succeed. But what if I told you that is the biggest lie society ever sold you? What if I told you that sometimes quitting is the most dangerous, terrifying, and absolutely brilliant thing you could ever do? Meet Julian. On paper, Julian had won the game of life. By the age of 32, he was a senior risk actuary at one of the largest insurance firms in the world. He made 7 figures a year. He wore $10,000 suits. He drove a car that cost more than most people's homes, and he lived in a glass penthouse overlooking the city. Julian's entire job was to calculate risk. He analyzed data to ensure his company never took a bad bet. He was a master of safety. He built a life that was mathematically immune to failure. But there was a problem, a terrifying, silent problem that didn't show up on his spreadsheets. Julian was dying inside. They call them golden handcuffs for a reason. They are made of money, status, and comfort, but they are still handcuffs. Every morning, Julian woke up at 5 a.m. with a tight, suffocating pain in his chest. He would look in the mirror and see a stranger. He wasn't building anything of value. He wasn't helping anyone. His only purpose on this earth was to find mathematical loopholes so a multi-billion-dollar corporation could avoid paying out claims to desperate people. He tried to ignore it. He bought expensive watches to distract himself. He went on luxury vacations to numb the emptiness. But the feeling never left. Then came the hurricane. A massive Category 5 storm wiped out a small coastal town. Thousands of homes were destroyed. Families lost everything. Julian's firm had insured a massive portion of that town. His boss, a cold, calculating man named Marcus, called Julian into his sprawling corner office. Marcus slid a thick file across the desk. "Julian," Marcus said, sipping a glass of scotch, "I need you to run the numbers on this sector. I know they lost everything, but I want you to find the wind versus water loophole. Prove it was flood damage, not wind. If we can classify it as a flood, our liability drops by 80%. Julian stared at the file. Inside were photos of destroyed homes, toys in the mud, families standing in the ruins of their lives. And Julian was being asked to mathematically ensure they got nothing. Julian realized something in that exact moment. He was a professional at avoiding risk, but he had blindly walked into the greatest risk of all, the risk of living a completely meaningless life. Julian didn't open the file. He didn't run the numbers. He stood up, took off his custom silk tie, and placed it on the file. "I can't do this anymore, Marcus," Julian said softly. Marcus laughed. "You can't do what? Make $1 million a year? Sit down, Julian. You're stressed." "No," Julian replied, his voice rock solid. "I'm awake." Julian walked out of the office. He didn't give 2 weeks' notice. He didn't negotiate a severance package. He burned the ships. When he told his family and friends, they thought he had lost his mind. "You're throwing away your future," they yelled. "Do you know how lucky you are? People would kill for your job." But Julian knew the truth. He wasn't throwing away his future. He was finally taking ownership of it. But let me be perfectly clear. Quitting the wrong path does not magically teleport you to the right one. Quitting throws you into the wilderness. Julian had a secret passion. For years, in his spare time, he had been studying drone mechanics and thermal imaging. He wanted to build autonomous, heavy-weather drones designed for extreme search and rescue operations. Technology that could fly into storms where helicopters couldn't. He called his new company AeroSave. The transition was brutal. Julian sold his sports car. He moved out of his penthouse and rented a dusty, freezing warehouse in an industrial park. The man who used to wear Italian suits was now covered in grease, sleeping on a cot, burning his fingers on soldering irons. For 2 years, it was nothing but failure. His prototypes crashed. His algorithms failed. The investors he pitched to laughed him out of the room. "You're an insurance guy, Julian," one venture capitalist told him. You don't know the first thing about aerospace engineering. Go back to your desk. Julian's bank account drained. His savings vanished. The danger of his decision was staring him right in the face. He was days away from total bankruptcy. The golden handcuffs were gone, but the freedom was terrifying. There were nights he sat in the dark warehouse, holding his head in his hands, wondering if everyone was right, wondering if he was a fool for quitting. But every time he thought about going back, he remembered the file on Marcus's desk, and he kept building. Then the crucible arrived. In the dead of winter, a massive avalanche struck a remote mountain range during a blizzard. 50 hikers and guides were trapped on a collapsing ridge. The temperature was dropping to -20 degrees. The military and local rescue teams were paralyzed. The blizzard was too severe for helicopters to fly. Ground teams couldn't see 10 feet in front of them. The rescue commander stated on live television that they would have to wait for the storm to clear in the morning. But by morning, everyone on that mountain would freeze to death. Julian watched the broadcast in his warehouse. He looked at his final, untested prototype, the Titan Mark IV, a drone built specifically to withstand hurricane-force winds, equipped with deep penetrating thermal radar. He didn't ask for permission. He loaded the massive drone into the back of a beat-up truck and drove straight into the blizzard. When he reached the police barricade at the base of the mountain, the authorities tried to stop him. "You can't fly that up there, son." "It's suicide," the sheriff yelled over the roaring wind. "I'm not flying it," Julian yelled back, his eyes locked on the raging storm. "It flies itself." Julian hit the launch sequence. The Titan roared to life, its heavy-duty rotors fighting the violent wind. It launched into the pitch-black sky, instantly vanishing into the blizzard. Inside the rescue tent, Julian set up his monitors. For 10 agonizing minutes, there was nothing but static. The military commanders shook their heads, telling Julian he had wasted his time. And then, the screen flickered. Through the blinding snow, the thermal imaging pierced the darkness. Suddenly, a bright, glowing orange cluster appeared on the monitor. It was a heat signature. 50 heat signatures, huddled together in an ice cave. "I found them," Julian whispered. Using the drone's advanced mapping software, Julian transmitted a precise, safe route to the ground rescue teams, avoiding the unstable snowpack. Guided entirely by Julian's screen, the teams reached the trapped hikers just hours before the cold would have taken their lives. Every single person came off that mountain alive. By the next morning, Julian was no longer the crazy insurance guy who threw his life away. He was a pioneer. Within a week, AeroSave received massive government contracts to deploy their drones worldwide. Julian didn't just build a multi-million-dollar company. He built a machine that saved human lives. But none of it would have happened if he hadn't made the terrifying decision to quit. We are taught that quitting is giving up, but sometimes quitting is the exact opposite. Quitting a toxic job, a bad relationship, or a meaningless path is the ultimate act of self-respect. It is refusing to settle for a life you hate. The most dangerous thing you can do is stay somewhere you don't belong, just because it feels safe. If you are thinking about quitting something right now to chase what you were meant to do, this is your sign. If you made it this far, drop a 100 in the comments. It shows you're part of the rare few who don't just exist, but actually live. Subscribe for more stories of courage. And remember, the only true failure is refusing to walk away from the wrong path.